You have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is Newsspin. You are on the air.
Hello, Tim.
Hi, Rick. Good afternoon to you, sir.
How do I put that? I'm pleading for equal treatment.
What equal treatment do you want?
Well, not just for me, for journalists, St.Lucian journalists.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman just went to great lengths, pointing out that there is nobody in the House who will be reasonably considered a role model. Did I get that right?
Yes.
And you, I think, agreed with him.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. He also said St. Lucia needs investigative journalists, and he said the reasons why and everything else. And then they would appreciate this and whatever. You want me to list a number of stories that took months of investigation, that pointed the finger, the accusatory finger, at the leaders of our government over the years, some of which landed a certain journalist before the courts. The journalist won. But even that is history, right?
Yeah.
And you let that go by, and by the way, you're a journalist too, you know. The gentleman is talking as if we are experiencing the consequences of not having investigative journalism in the country, and that is more or less why we are where we are, and the kind of models we have, etc. He kind of insinuated that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know the truth is far from away from that, because we have, as a matter of fact, Tim, I have now taken to going through my files to find the stories that were, as it were, the budding stages of the horrors we now have to live with, and that we did nothing about those things. You know, I am reluctant to say anything about Stephen King's actions, because that is quite normal. Why Stephen King? What about Von Lewis? What about John Compton?
Well, when it was Von Lewis, people would have spoken about it, would have aired their sentiments and disappointments. So now it is King. That's what's fresh in our memories. People are making reference to King.
That's the point I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
We moved from one horror to the latest horror. That dead already, although I don't hear that anymore. Are you hearing it much?
No.
That dead already. Man, forget about that. Let's talk about now. But what talking about now is talking about the dead already, you know. It's the same thing. Okay? So what we have done consistently is taking turns castigating certain people because it was not convenient to us at the time, whatever egregious behavior they had undertaken. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem. And that is the reason I keep trying to remind St. Lucians of whence we came. We didn't just suddenly become a heap of doo-doo. We started with the farts, the signaling farts. You know what I'm saying, Tim?
Yeah. And while we're in that vein, it will only continue. And can you imagine the situation will worsen in St. Lucia very soon?
It is not a question of the situation will St. Lucia will cave in on itself. St. Lucia is on the brink of a Haiti, never mind all the flag waving. The poorest people in the country, and I say poorest because I've always said, Tim, anybody who is rich in St. Lucia needs to be investigated immediately.
Yeah.
That's a constant line of mine, right?
Yeah, we just have a couple of rich people in St. Lucia.
Well, I don't know their bank accounts, but anybody who is rich in the meaning of the word rich needs to be investigated, because there is nothing in St. Lucia that can make people rich and is also legal. Nothing. and talking about legalities. I mean, the guy brought. I don't want to get involved in that swamp. But the guy mentioned Minerva Watts show last night. And all I kept thinking as she brought up the various things were, this was 19 so-and-so, this was 2000 and this was, all of those things, threats. When a prime minister says certain things on the record to the people of the country, that prime minister has to be held responsible for what he said to him. And he cannot be let off the hook in the name of convenience.
Because why? Because the prime minister is in a position of authority. The prime minister is in a position to know exactly what he's talking about. That's what you're saying. This is not an ordinary individual.
I'm saying, you want target, but I'm saying more than that. What the prime minister says or does not say, what the prime minister does or does not do, can result in the loss of life.
Yeah.
The ORC, I have my own views on the ORC and the connections. Well, not my own views. I am well informed on the ORC and the connections with the
impacts,
and what transpired for 5 years while we were diddling about impacts, and we had a crappy DPP playing along and dancing to the tune, and even now, 2 years in office, he has not done what he claimed he would do 2 weeks before elections. We have the Mary Franceses frustrated. We have the parents of people who live normal lives, respectable people, like the nurse who was killed, like the policeman's wife who was killed going to bed, all those people. You have a woman in the Senate now. What's her name?
Which one?
What's her name?
Jean?
Jean.
Mm-hmm.
That woman made such a deal, and don't misunderstand me, her son was brutally murdered. Her son was, by all accounts, a good guy, good everything guy. And she made the appropriate noises. Now the woman is more famous in St. Lucia for giving adulations to the Prime Minister, calling him the Moses of the East. She has no time for all the women who are murdered and raped and battered. Not a word from her in the Senate, let alone in the streets, on TV. These people, I don't want to label them the enemy within, but they are effectively so, Tim. And they are frustrating.
It sound like John Compton there.
They are frustrating the young. Tim, when I was 17 years old, I had amazing ambitions. And I've said many times on TV, on talk, you've heard me, and I think you can support me, how many times I have said that had I continued to live in St. Lucia with my enthusiasms, my ambitions, my drive, my energy, I was bound to end up in trouble with the law. Because that's what frustration does to you. There are a lot of talented people, a lot of those people who are doing the memes and whatnot. We see the negative aspect of it. But we also see some guys who seem to be natural actors. That guy who smokes a joint or whatever it is he's smoking, and casually talking about Philip Pierre, right? You know what I'm talking about?
The guy in Viewfort?
I don't know where he's from.
Yes.
But you know, I am less interested in the fact that the guy is having a shot at the Prime Minister as I am in the way he delivers that thing with a cigarette like Humphrey Bogart or somebody, casually. The guy, I mean, it's almost awesome.
You're referring that to is it Appa? Appa?
No. It's some guy with locks hanging down his face. He's done a couple of ads, and he's thought, and that kind of stuff. He's taking a shot at people.
Okay.
But you've seen that one?
No, I haven't.
And then you have the guy who plays the both parts about the passport and St. Lucia being in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Is Henry Segment connected?
Yes. Somebody, my producer, is saying yes.
Okay. Those guys have talent.
Yeah.
And Tim, I would have blown up With the dreams I had, I wanted to be Mr. America. I didn't know how the hell I'm leaving St. Lucia to get to America. But I dreamed of that. Then I dreamed about I wanted to write books, Tim. And I didn't have any kind of university background or any of that thing, but I had ambition and I had the energy to work towards it. In St. Lucia, you can have all the energy. It'll be drained out of you from frustration and from seeing undeserving people getting the highest rewards and honors from the different politicians, Tim. That is frustrating to a young person. And no amount of the youth economy and whatnot had any impact on that. People have talent. Young people have talent and the energy to drive toward achievement. God, nature, whatever you can, imbue them with that. They are special. And when that is frustrated, you are killing the person that guy, that young man or young woman is designed to be. When a young woman gets raped and she's too scared to say anything that the system is going against her, because she can look in parliament, and I'm not referring to any one parliament, and can see guys in there who are the enemy, if you get my drift, she knows she can't go to no court. She knows 5 or 6 lawyers is going to stand by her abuser. No?
Yeah.
We sit every day and encourage that with our silence. How many voices really? Somebody said to you, how come the same people calling you? Because the same people have no choice. You have myself, you have Mr. PW, whoever he is, and 1 or 2 others, and the odd person who comes in and makes a good contribution. But yesterday somebody asked you, why is nobody talking from Beaufort? Because Beaufort is dead. Beaufort is dead. Most of these constituencies are dead people, Tim. All of them have talented people, musicians, writers just in need of a little training and so on and so on. But all the bums are in government, one government or another, rewarded because they took particular positions during a campaign, and so on and so on. So we are busy killing the country, and honoring the killers. And I don't mean murder or anything like that. I meant, for example, somebody like Jean, who...
Alison Jean.
Huh?
Alison Jean.
She's a senator.
Yeah.
She'll soon be a candidate for elections and end up possibly as some kind of minister, if not prime minister.
You predicting that, or you know that for a fact?
That's the way it goes, Tim. That's the way it goes. And if she runs and doesn't win, they probably make her something else anyway. That's how it goes. Look what happens all the time. I've been writing for years about the matter, the habit, the ritual of people running for elections, getting kicked out by the electorate, only to reappear as senators.
Yeah.
I mean, that is spitting gobs of spit in Helen's face. And all of these people I'm talking about, they either put on their costume and their lipstick on the pig and do the act that's expected of them, or they shut their mouths in some corner and enduring their own frustrations, and like Derek says, rooting at the trough, the scraps of favor. And you don't get favors without sacrificing everything that is honorable in yourself, Tim. We have to think of those things, that we are busy killing ourselves. And the young in whom we should be investing, we are killing the young, if not physically, psychically, and psychologically. That'll do for today.
All right, Rick. Thank you so much.